Everyone wants to tell you about retirement regrets. I've seen the articles, I've seen the videos. Some 65-year-old who's been retired for 6 months wants to give you wisdom about what really matters. Or some 30-year-old financial advisor is going to tell you the top 5 mistakes based on surveys and statistics and pie charts. Let me tell you something about surveys and statistics. They're averages. They're what most people feel. They're the safe answers people give when someone with a clipboard asks them questions. I'm Dorothy Kowalski. I'm 103 years old. I've been retired for 38 years. I've buried 3 husbands, 2 best friends, and 1 of my sons. I've watched everyone I know make the same stupid mistakes, including me, especially me. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go through the 5 retirement regrets everyone talks about, the ones you've probably already heard a dozen times. And I'm going to tell you which ones are real, which ones are garbage, and what they actually mean when you strip away the polite language. Fair warning, I don't have patience for bullshit anymore. I'm 103. I could die before I finish this sentence. So we're going to move fast, and I'm going to be honest. And if that bothers you, go watch something softer. Still here? Good. Regret number 1. I wish I had retired earlier. This is the number 1 regret you hear. Every list, every survey, every video, people wish they'd retired sooner. And you know what? This one's true. Dead true. I retired at 65 in 1988. Mandatory retirement age for nurses back then. And I told myself I was being smart, maximizing my pension, padding my savings, being responsible. But here's what I was actually doing: hiding. Work was the only place I wasn't terrified. I was head nurse at Pittsburgh General by the time I was 35. I knew who I was there. I had authority. I had purpose. I had a name tag that told everyone exactly what to expect from me. I worked through the polio epidemic in the 50s, held children's hands while they died, told parents their kids weren't coming home. I was competent. I was respected. Hell, I was feared. Nobody messed with Dorothy Kowalski on the ward. At home? Different story entirely. At home, I had a husband I'd stopped really talking to somewhere around 1975. I had a son I'd damaged in ways I didn't understand yet. I had a life I didn't know how to live. Work was simple. Work had rules. Home was chaos I couldn't control. So I clung to that job like a life raft. Every year I could have retired early, I found a reason not to. The pension would be better if I stayed. The department needed me. I wasn't ready yet. I was never going to be ready. That was the point. Staying busy meant never having to face the silence. Here's the thing nobody says out loud. Most people don't stay at their jobs because they love the work. They stay because they're terrified of what happens when the work stops. Terrified of having to figure out who they are without a title, without a schedule, without someone telling them where to be and what to do. I had the money to retire at 55. I had the pension. I had everything I needed except courage. My husband Charles retired in 1985. He wanted to travel. He wanted to finally do all the things we'd been postponing, and I told him to wait. Just a few more years. Let me finish out my career properly. Charles spent 3 years waiting for me. 3 years sitting in that house watching television, waiting for his wife to come home so they could start their life together. By the time I retired in 1988, something had gone out of him. The excitement was gone. The plans had faded. He'd gotten used to the recliner and the routine, and he never really got back up. We had 12 more years together after I retired. 12 years of sitting in the same house, watching the same shows, going through the same motions. We never went anywhere. We never did any of the things he'd wanted to do. Charles died in 2000, and I think about those 3 years I made him wait. 3 years I stole from him because I was too scared to leave my job. So when people say they wish they'd retired earlier, what they're really saying is, I wish I'd been braver. I wish I'd trusted myself. I wish I hadn't let fear make my decisions. If you can afford to retire and you're not retiring, ask yourself why. And be honest, really honest. If the answer is fear, fear of the silence, fear of irrelevance, fear of having to figure out who you are, that's not a reason to stay. That's a reason to go. Regret number 2. I wish I had saved more money. This is on every list, every single one. I wish I'd saved more. And I'm going to say something controversial. For a lot of you watching this, that's the wrong regret. The opposite regret is the one that'll kill you. I saved money like it was a religion. Depression-era parents, steel mill poverty, hand-me-down everything. My father worked the mills until his body gave out. My mother took in laundry. We had enough to eat, but just barely. And somewhere in that childhood, I learned that money was the wall between you and disaster. Money was safety. Money was the only thing standing between you and the street. So I saved. My whole life I saved. I clipped coupons at 30. I clipped coupons at 60. I'm 103 years old, and I still yell at nurses for wasting paper towels. I reuse tea bags. I keep my thermostat at 65 degrees even when I'm freezing because heat costs money. I have done this for 80 years. 80 years of denying myself every small pleasure because what if I need that money later? You want to know how much money I have? Right now, sitting in accounts I'll never touch? $847,000, give or take. I have never spent any of it on joy. Not once. Not a single dinner out that wasn't absolutely necessary. Not a single trip. Not a single indulgence. Charles wanted to go to Hawaii in 1987, our first big trip. He'd been talking about it for years, ever since he saw some television program about the beaches and the sunsets. I said no, too expensive. We could go next year when we had more saved up. He asked again in 1990. I said no. What if we needed that money for medical bills? What if something went wrong? He asked again in 1995. I said no. We should wait until we were sure we had enough. Charles died in 2000. We never went to Hawaii. We never went anywhere. I spent $6,000 on face creams between 1975 and 1995. $6,000 rubbing lotion on my face, trying to stop wrinkles. I wouldn't spend $200 on a nice dinner with my husband, but I'd spend $6,000 on my vanity. You know what those creams did? Nothing. I'm 103 years old. I look 103. All those creams are in a landfill somewhere, and I could have gone to Hawaii 30 times. Here's the truth that financial advisors won't tell you because it doesn't sell retirement plans. Most people don't run out of money in retirement. Most people run out of time. There's this thing called the retirement spending curve. In your 60s and early 70s, the go-go years, that's when you have energy. That's when your body still works. That's when you can actually do things. Then come the slow-go years. Then the no-go years. I spent my go-go years saving money for the no-go years. And now I'm deep in the no-go years with a pile of money I can't use. I can't travel. I can barely walk. I have more money than I've ever had and fewer options than I've ever had. What am I supposed to do with $800,000? Buy a nicer wheelchair? Get a fancier room in this facility? Yes, save money. Don't be stupid. Have a cushion. But the bigger regret, the one that'll eat you alive at 3 in the morning when you can't sleep, isn't having too little money at the end. It's having plenty of money and nothing to show for it. No memories, no adventures, no stories, just a bank balance and a list of things you were going to do someday. Someday is a lie. Someday is the most dangerous word in the English language. Someday means never. If you're 55 and you're choosing your savings account over your spouse, over your kids, over the trip you've been postponing for 20 years, you've got the wrong fear. Money in the bank doesn't keep you warm at night. It doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't remember the sunset in Hawaii that you never saw. Spend the money. Take the trip. Do it now while your body still works. The money will still be there or it won't. But either way, you'll have the memory. I have no memories. I have a bank balance. Trust me, you want the memories. Regret number 3. I wish I had traveled more. Also on every list. Also true. But everyone misses the actual point. They say travel more, like it's about seeing the Eiffel Tower or going on a cruise. It's not. It's about proving to yourself that you can survive outside the tiny little box you've built around yourself. I'm 103 years old. I have never left the state of Pennsylvania. Let that sink in. Born in Pittsburgh, raised in Pittsburgh, worked in Pittsburgh, married 3 men in Pittsburgh, buried all 3 in Pittsburgh, and I'm going to die in Pittsburgh. 103 years on this planet, and I have seen exactly one small corner of it. I've never seen the ocean, not once. 103 years, and I have never stood on a beach and watched the waves come in. It's not because I couldn't afford it. I told you, I have $800,000. I could have circled the globe twice. It's not because I didn't have time. I've been retired for 38 years. 38 years of Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays with nothing on the calendar. I didn't travel because I was scared. Scared of the unfamiliar. Scared of not knowing where things were. Scared of being somewhere I couldn't control. That's what it was really about. Control. In Pittsburgh, I knew where the hospitals were. I knew where the grocery stores were. I knew the bus routes and the neighborhoods and which streets to avoid after dark. Pittsburgh was predictable. Pittsburgh was safe. Hawaii wasn't predictable. Paris wasn't safe. Anywhere that wasn't Pittsburgh was a threat. So I stayed. For 103 years, I stayed in my little corner of the world because leaving it felt like dying. And you know what? Staying felt like dying too. Just slower, just quieter, just a little bit every day for 103 years. My great-great-granddaughter Sophie is 16 years old. She's been to Tokyo. She's been to Paris. She's been to Costa Rica. She's 16, and she's seen more of the world than I will ever see. And part of me is jealous, and part of me is angry, and part of me wants to grab her by the shoulders and say, "Don't stop. Don't ever stop. Don't let fear shrink your life the way I let it shrink mine. But I don't say that, because I'm still learning how to be brave at 103, and it's a little late for lessons. Travel isn't about the destinations. It's about proving to yourself that you can survive outside your cage, that the world won't end if you go somewhere new, that you're more adaptable and more resilient than your fears want you to believe. I never proved that to myself. I stayed in my cage for 103 years, and I called it being practical. I called it being sensible. I called it not wasting money. I was lying. I was scared. And I wasted my life being scared. If there's somewhere you want to go, go. Don't wait for retirement. Don't wait for the kids to grow up. Don't wait until you have more money or more time or more courage. Go now. Go badly. Go on a budget. Take the bus if you have to. Just go. Because I promise you, you don't want to be 103 years old and realize you've never seen the ocean. Regret number 4. I wish I had spent more time with family. This is the one that makes people cry. This is the one they put in the commercials with the sad piano music. And it's true. God, it's true. But here's what nobody tells you. Spending time with family isn't about being in the room. It's about being present. And those are two completely different things. I was in the room for 40 years. I came home from work. I sat at the dinner table. I went through the motions, but I wasn't there. My body was there, but my mind was somewhere else, thinking about patients, thinking about schedules, thinking about anything except the people sitting 3 feet away from me. I had 2 sons, James and William. James was easy. He fit the mold, did everything he was supposed to do, got a regular job, got married, had kids. He visits me every Sunday, still. Good kid. William was different. William was creative, artistic, sensitive. He liked to draw. He wrote poetry. He cried easily, felt everything deeply, saw the world in ways I couldn't understand, and I couldn't handle it. This was the 1950s, the 1960s. Boys weren't supposed to be sensitive. Boys were supposed to be tough and stoic and strong. That's what I believed. That's what the world told me. And William was none of those things. So instead of getting to know him, instead of asking about his drawings and his poems and his feelings, I spent his entire childhood trying to fix him. Stop being so sensitive, William. I must have said that 500 times, 1,000 times. Every time he cried, every time he got hurt, every time he showed any emotion that didn't fit my idea of what a boy should be. I told myself I was protecting him. The world is cruel to sensitive boys. I was toughening him up, preparing him for reality. You know what I was actually doing? I was being the cruelty. I was the harsh world I thought I was protecting him from. His own mother, telling him over and over that who he was wasn't acceptable. William died of cancer in 1987. He was 45 years old. And on his deathbed, he apologized to me. He said, "I'm sorry I wasn't the son you wanted, Mom." Those were some of the last words my son ever said to me. An apology for being himself. I have lived with that moment for 39 years. I will die with that moment. There is no pain in the world like knowing your child died thinking they disappointed you. And the worst part? He didn't disappoint me. I disappointed him. I failed him. I had this beautiful, sensitive, creative boy, and I spent his whole life trying to sand down his edges until he fit into a box he was never meant to fit into. So yes, spend more time with your family, but don't just be in the room. Be present. See the person in front of you, not who you want them to be, not who you think they should be, who they actually are. Your kids are not projects to be fixed. They're not rough drafts of the person you think they should become. They're whole human beings right now, exactly as they are. And if you spend their whole childhood trying to fix them, one day they're going to be gone, one way or another, and you're going to realize you never knew them at all. I would give every dollar I have, every single dollar, to go back to 1962 and tell William his drawings were beautiful, to tell him his sensitivity was a gift, to tell him I loved him exactly as he was. I can't. He's been dead for 39 years, and I have to live with what I did. Don't make your children apologize for who they are. Don't wait until it's too late to see them clearly. Time with family means nothing if you're not actually there. Regret number 5. I wish I hadn't been so afraid. This one isn't on the lists. You won't find it in the surveys or the articles or the nice videos with the soft music. But this is the one. This is the regret underneath all the other regrets. This is what it all comes down to. I was afraid my whole life. Afraid of being alone, so I married men I didn't love. 3 of them, one after another. 80 years of marriages built on fear instead of love. Afraid of being poor, so I saved money I never spent, while the people I loved died waiting for me to say yes to something. Afraid of the unfamiliar, so I never left Pittsburgh, never saw the ocean, never proved to myself that I could survive outside my little cage. Afraid of my son being hurt by the world, so I hurt him myself. I became the thing I was trying to protect him from. Afraid of being wrong, so I let a 15-year grudge destroy a 40-year friendship. My best friend Margaret died in 2001, and I can't even remember what we were fighting about. Fear made every major decision of my life. Every single one. And you know what fear gave me in return? Safety, security, predictability. I was never homeless. I was never abandoned. I was never publicly humiliated or rejected. I was never lost or stranded or out of my depth. I was also never happy. Not really. Not the kind of happy that comes from taking risks and failing and getting back up. Not the kind of happy that comes from loving someone with your whole heart, even though they might leave. Not the kind of happy that comes from doing something terrifying and discovering you survived. I survived for 103 years, but I'm not sure I ever actually lived. You can build a whole life out of fear. I did. You can make it to 103 without ever taking a real risk, without ever being truly vulnerable, without ever stepping outside the walls you've built around yourself. But those walls don't just keep the bad stuff out. They keep everything out. The joy, the connection, the adventure, the love. I stayed safe, and I stayed small. And I stayed alone, even when I was surrounded by people. At 103, I can finally see it clearly. I spent my whole life running from things that mostly never happened, and in the process, I missed everything that actually mattered. The real retirement regret, the one they're too scared to put on the lists, isn't about money or travel or time with family. It's realizing too late that fear was driving the whole time. And by the time you grab the wheel, you've already missed most of the exits. So there they are, 5 regrets. The same ones everyone talks about, except now you know what they actually mean. Retire earlier, meaning stop hiding behind your job and figure out who you are. Save more money, except for most of you, the real regret is never spending it. Travel more, meaning prove to yourself you can survive outside your cage. Spend time with family, real time, present time, actually seeing the people in front of you. And stop being so goddamn afraid. I'm 103 years old. I've watched my whole generation die. I've watched most of the next generation die too. I'm sitting in an assisted living facility waiting for my turn, and I've got nothing but time to think about what I did wrong. You still have time to do it right. That's the only difference between us. You still have time. So turn off this video, put down your phone, and go do one thing today that scares you. Call the person you've been avoiding. Book the trip you've been postponing. Tell someone you love them. Quit the job that's killing you. Forgive the grudge that's eating you alive. Do something, anything. Just stop waiting, because I promise you, you have less time than you think. I know. I wasted most of mine. Don't waste yours.